do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and the laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and the laws thereof.
and that I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of Board of Election. Execute the office of Town Manager
execute the office of Town Manager
for the town of Cottage City,
for the town of Cottage City,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and the laws of this state.
Congratulations, Mr.
Thank
Mosey.
you.
There's a couple of dates. Welcome.
So I actually would like to invite Mr. Mosey to say a few words now that you're officially installed as our new town manager.
Well, there's not a lot that I need to say, other than the fact that I am extremely pleased and honored to be offered this position and to come to this town to do what I consider to be some good works. I believe that we're on the precipice of doing some really interesting things here. It's happening in all the municipalities, and I don't see why it shouldn't happen right here in the backyard of the port towns. And anything that I can do to further that cause, I would gladly do it. Just so we all understand, I'm a religious man, I'm a family man, and I think that my being here was preordained or predestined to do this, and I feel that very, very strongly. And I'm going to look forward to working with the citizens of Cottage City as well as the citizens of the port towns. And I thank you on the dais for this opportunity. Thanks again.
Mr. Mosey. On behalf of the commission, we are really glad that you took on this challenge, and we hope to work with you to ensure that we improve our town as we move forward. I don't know if any of the commissioners want to say something.
Thank you.
So at this time, although we have our agenda, we didn't have it in it. I would like to request a 5-minute recess so that we can, for those, I know that some may have to leave soon, but we can congratulate Mr. Mosley, and there's some refreshments in the back, so I want to thank the staff for putting that together. I want to thank everyone that is here joining us in this event. So without any further ado, we will be in recess for the next 5 minutes.
Thank you.
There is, in addition, first of all, are there any other points that the commission wants to add to the agenda as presented?
Yes, well, no, actually, did she put my budget report on there, or?
Financial update and events? Is that-
Yeah,
If not, I want to add the issue of bringing up the approval of the ordinance to allow non-binding ballots on the agenda. This is something that we had a first reader on at the last town hall. It was introduced for the first time, and basically it would allow the town to put non-binding questions on the ballot. Because this is not a town hall and we have implemented new rules, we need to just suspend the rules of meeting so that we can approve the measure. So I would entertain now a motion to approve an acceptance to the rules to the meetings.
I make a motion to extend to, suspend the rules of the meetings.
Is there a second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Is this? We're gonna discuss that.
Nay.
Aye. Rules are suspended.
Commissioner Jones, did you?
Yeah. she
I
said
said
it.
aye.
Okay, thank you.
So now we'll be discussing the second reader and approval of the ordinance number 206-2. This was introduced by Commissioner Butler. Commissioner Butler, if you can just read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the County City Commission to authorize and provide a process within newly created chapter 13 of the Town Code of Ordinance for the placement of non-binding and advisory ballot questions to be placed before the voters at a town election and generally relating to town elections and election procedures.
Is there any discussion on the ordinance? If not, I would like I would entertain a motion to accept the ordinance in its second reader.
I make a motion to accept the ordinance as read.
Is there any further discussion? Calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye. Motion passes. The Cottage City ordinance number 2016-02 has passed. We'll move on with the agenda. There's the ATHA participation in the bike MOU. This was, we had a presentation from, I think, the director of ATHA that came to us several meetings ago, requesting our participation, and there were several asks. One was a representative, there's a financial contribution that they request, and then if we want us to sign up to this MOU, was someone following up on this, or?
I was.
Yeah, can you speak to that, Commissioner Jones?
So regarding the bike MOU, it appears that 15 of the surrounding towns, including the 3 other port towns, have signed the document committing to provide a liaison to confer with AFA on the bike trail, on bike trail related issues such as signage, street markings, and trail enhancements, etc. And they're asking that we provide a liaison in the form of a commissioner and a staff person to attend these meetings, and at the very least, be in regular contact with the consortium to act on policies going forward regarding bike trails. The meeting times are a little bit awkward, if you ask me. I think they're meeting for the first time April 12th at the Hyattsville Town Hall in the Prangley Room at 8:30 in the morning time. Now, I don't know how convenient that is for a commission liaison or for a staff member to attend. I would imagine that if there was a staff member to attend these things and they were outside of the work hours, that it would be a salaried employee, so that we would not be paying an employee time and a half for their attendance or involvement in this. But a commissioner is certainly sought after in terms of being the primary contact and the liaison. And I move that we sign the MOU per review by the attorney, if he hasn't already reviewed the bike MOU.
I've reviewed it.
Okay, and if there are no glaring issues with it, then the only thing that we're committing to is to provide a regular contact and to be involved to an extent in the policies of this consortium, policy making part of this consortium regarding bike trails throughout the area, the metropolitan area.
So then, are you making a motion for us to accept it, or just have some Are there any questions on the MOU? In the past, just a point of note that we have supported ASA, not in this current fiscal year, but in previous years. It was a line item, I think, that we did, not included in this year's budget. We're still in the budgetary process, so I just want to point that out.
If I'm not mistaken, we did work on it, but I think what happened is someone took it off because what we took off was, or reduced, was the Anacostia Watershed Society thing. I could be wrong though. It might have been taken off because of the War of 1812, so I could be wrong about that. So, but we should make sure that it gets put back on, after it's put back on. I'm sorry.
So it's just a note, point of reference for the budgetary. Point two, we already discussed. The next point, we're gonna go to point three, which is the,
Well, can I, in this MOU,
oh,
they're not really asking for money, they're asking for us to
Right.
be willing to work with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's two separate.
Two separate issues.
oh, yeah,
I
I was,
just kind of want that clarified.
yeah, thank you, Commissioner Hayes. I was just bringing back that at some point we did offer that, but you're right, it is completely separate, they're two separate points. Thank you, Commissioner Jones, for following up on the issue. The next issue, point of the agenda is the Phase 2 telephone.
Yes, would like to change our telephone service from the Verizon and AT&T to the Victor data so that we can start saving. I provided you a copy of the cost comparison, whereas right now we're spending $429.43 for Verizon and AT&T, but if we switch over, the new bill will be $276.96. That can offset our monthly recurring charge from Phase 2.
Was this included in the first proposal that was given to us?
Yes,
when
it
we
was.
were-
Yeah. Next month, once we finish paying off the IT part of it, then I will reintroduce the telephone system. So, but for right now, to start saving money, I would like to switch over.
So this is just sort of the switch service,
Service.
not
Just
in the
service.
capital
Mhm.
upgrades. And, Mr. Bassett, if you can just review that aspect of it to make sure that none of these service changes have implications. I think we're gonna take it to the next week's meeting to make a final decision on it. Are there any questions on that? I know this was presented to us, but it was a while ago, so.
Did we get an estimate of what it would cost to add funds? Have we discussed that? Am I missing that?
It was 7,000.
7,000.
Yeah, in the original, remember when they presented just the IT aspect of it, they did include a telephone. We decided to only accept the IT part of it, but the telephone was included, because at that point, it was like a third-party vendor that they partnered with, so.
So 7,000 for the installation, or 7,000 for what exactly?
The 7,000 would be for the telephones, for the service, and for the installation. That's included for everything.
So would it be what would be the ongoing cost?
The only ongoing cost is our monthly recurring cost, which is the IT, which is $400 and something, and then of course the telephone system, which of course will no longer have Verizon, AT&T, which is at Vector, which is part of Phase 2.
But we would have a monthly bill with them.
Right.
Right.
That's a 276.
That's the 276
Okay. So
versus the 4.
is that, I don't know if that's significantly cheaper than what we are dealing with now. We do need to get a phone system, and I know we're not talking about the phone system tonight, so I don't want to get into that, but I didn't expect, that's kind of, that's,
It's in the packet, so what they did is a comparison. That was a comparison of the original proposal, where they did what we actually spend on average. And so our phone bill monthly averages at about $429.43. What they're proposing with the new service, it'd be $276.96.
including a $7,000 installation.
That's separate, that's a capital upgrade, those are the
And
phones.
that's if we do it. And that's my, okay, I think I understand what the issue is, and I was kind of confused at first too. Right now, you can switch services and get a reduction, a lower, cost, monthly cost. Later on, it's up to you whether you want to upgrade the phone systems themselves. You don't necessarily have to, but you can continue to receive the reduced cost of service. Is that not?
That's correct.
But you can upgrade, because at some point you may have to upgrade. But right now, as he explained it to us, there's not an absolute necessary need to upgrade to the phone system at this point. But along the way, you can be saving money on your monthly recurring cost.
Well, point of information. So it's $7,000 for any physical installation, and then $2,760 a year for the service. Is that about right? At $276 a month?
Yeah.
And the charter requires contracts above $3,000 to be bid out. I imagine there can be made an argument for waiver. I assume that's probably the route the commission would like to probably waive the competitive bidding requirements for this contract.
Yeah, this was the contract that we did that last time, because there was only one provider that did that, because it was part of the overall. Now, I think the question is, because we didn't accept it, do we have to then waive it again just for this part of it? Or do we?
So right now, I'm only introducing just the change of the telephone service, that's it. We're not doing anything with 7,000.
Okay. But you're, Mr. Chairman, you're saying you already approved moving towards this new service provider?
We approve a part of that, because the original proposal for the IT work was from the same company that
Right.
included this, but.
But aren't there different companies? Doesn't your
Yeah.
telephone provided by a sister company? That's
Exactly, but it was part of the same, I think.
Right.
I think the question is, that we're gonna have to review is, did we waive it, which would include this, or do we need to then redo it again?
I would probably suggest just entertain a motion to waive. It only takes you a minute or two to do it. And so
Yeah.
it would be any.
One question though, so we're switching service, but does this mandate that we use their equipment down the road if we
No.
choose to upgrade?
No,
Okay. So we can actually get bids from multiple companies to come in and.
yes. I can go and get quotes from different people, like for the IT company.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions?
Is this just the police department?
This is for everybody.
If there are no other questions, then we'll take it up at the meeting to make a final decision on it. Next one on the agenda is the in-car computers for the police department.
So each county changed softwares, and because they changed the softwares, our computers are no longer compatible. So we now have to buy new computers.
Or upgrade the software, or buy whole new computer?
They buy whole new computers. Apparently, our computers right now are Windows XP, and they're saying that we have to use Windows 7.
And the cost associated with that?
So for, proposed to buy 2 computers
Okay.
now, and then buy the rest and budget it for the next fiscal.
Yeah, but XP to 7 is just a software installation, updating it itself.
No, they said you can't. They said underneath Windows XP, then you can. There's some, they were trying to tell me, you can't go above Windows XP. So you can't upgrade it. You can downgrade it.
Yeah.
You can't upgrade it.
Yeah, they're not gonna, Microsoft is gonna stop providing upgrades for the XP eventually.
So, here's what I would like to speak on this subject. I agree with Sergeant Lindbergh in the purchase of, for the time being, a couple of computers, and I think that moving forward, much like the larger departments, like DC Police Department, in which every police officer, 4,000 of them don't have a computer. And they have to share the computer. They check out, like they'll check out a shotgun, they'll have to check out a computer. And I think we should probably have an extra one at some point, but to outfit, 6 cars with all the computers, and half the time everybody's not working necessarily, I think that can become
Well, I'm
an
not
additional
gonna
burden.
purchase 6. So the part-time people, they will share the computers. And so right now, one will go to Officer Walthall,
Mhm.
and then me and Ruffin will share a computer.
Well, I'm just speaking of, and moving forward, I mean, at some point, we plan on bringing additional officers on to the department, and, I just want to say that I don't think that it's cost effective, and we just bought those computers, if I'm not mistaken, what, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 6 years ago? And Greg was here, so I remember when we bought them, but nevertheless, I do agree with, but I don't agree with purchasing one computer for every officer that we intentionally will man back up to, so.
Right now, I'm proposing
And the computers, these are the computers that are in your vehicles, right? This
Yes.
is not computers in office.
to. Correct.
Do you have an idea?
I think Mr.
Since I was just less than 24 hours ago talking about this listening to this very same issue, in another town I represent, they're purchasing refurbished laptops. And they're gonna purchase 7 refurbished laptops at $13,000, in lieu of $28,000 for brand new laptops. And the way the chief there explained it is that they needed to upgrade from CF29 to CF30, some sort of designation for a laptop, I suppose.
The upgrade version of Panasonic. I did contact Panasonic. Panasonic no longer have anymore. They just gave out their last batch to another agency. So she said that she will look into other distribution, and she'll let me know
What, for refurbished?
for refurbish. So that could be an option for the budget for the next one.
I always defer to the acting chief, but I just thought I'd pass this information.
I appreciate that. I'll look into it.
Can you bring also where in the current budget, what line item that would hit?
I'm getting with Mike Blackville so we can figure that out. I also did find out that I'll take our computer that we have right now back up to Panasonic, which is out of record. They'll look at the computer and see if they will give us a credit for it.
So, I'm sorry, was there some documentation to say how much those computers were? I apologize, I didn't see it.
Yes, it should be.
Oh, the Panasonic, oh, that's this one, oh, the one for 7,000?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a thing.
And this is a new.
These 2 are new, so they don't have any refurbished.
Are there any additional questions from you?
No, I do think that, I think it can be looked into, or it may not get refurbished from another manufacturer, or it has to be Panasonic, or what is it?
It has to be Panasonic because that's what fits car mount that's inside the car.
Well, how much is the mount?
Well, it's not just the mount, because if we get a new mount, that means we have to uninstall the mount that's in there now, purchase the mount, and then reinstall that back into the car. So,
Is there a way that you can bring some of that price breakdown? Do they think that?
yeah.
And please, if you have options for this computer, please bring that there. I think that we can take this to the meeting, and then unless there are additional questions on it, bring additional information to the town hall meeting, and then from there, we'll decide whether we're ready to make a decision on that or not. Is there a time constraint on?
Well, they've already started the process with the municipality as far as installing, and there's classes right now. So if the classes are over, I already spoke to Sergeant Hartnett. He'll give us a personal class on the new software.
And Redford's not the only vendor, right?
I contacted Panasonic.
No, there's another, Redford is,
No, right, I contacted Panasonic.
Uh-huh.
Panasonic said Redford is the closest one that's in our area.
oh, really? Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Is there any trade-in value on the ones that we have?
I will have to take the computer up there so they can see.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, so bring us that additional information around the amount.
Yeah.
And to see if it's worth it exploring whether to change to a different brand that may be less. And at the end, it may not, but at least.
Yeah, and the trade-in value.
Yeah. Next one on the agenda is a financial update on the events that the board is in.
I just wanted to provide the information that I have, it's pretty much got out here, on the two events in March and one in April that I was involved in terms of spending. And so there's a list here of, well, Easter basket is the first one I'll break down, and that just is primarily gifts. So there was some food product that was bought, and we're going to have a event indoors in terms of like tea, coffee for parents who would be involved. That was very minimal. And so the total cost was $290.56. I don't know how much was spent ultimately on the Easter egg hunt event in terms of the event entirety, which I guess would include time and a half of employees and any other purchases that were made and activities that were perhaps invested in. But this, in terms of Easter basket giveaway, that is what I was directly involved in and had information regarding. And so there were 67 baskets given away. We originally purchased 3, but ultimately, 70, excuse me, but 3 of them were missing ultimately from the inventory. And the staff and volunteers who participated in either making the baskets or disseminating them, totaling 4 people. And the STEM program budget was actually $400. I take responsibility for having gone over $41. The honorarium was $200, and the refreshments totaled $241.54. There were approximately 55 to 60 people here. Staff and volunteers made up 4 people, and so the room total I approximated at 55 people.
Are there any questions on the report?
Can we, by the meeting, have the total that was spent for Easter? I'm sorry.
So I did not request.
Reading request what?
What was the question?
If we could have whatever you spent by the meeting. The meeting.
One thing I would like to add on that is I started doing this, and I hope this is something that the commission continues to do with regards to special events and activities that we fund, just so that we can even take responsibility for our own whole cause. Like I said, having gone over budget, I take responsibility for that for $41. But we do need to just be very diligent about really what the ultimate cost of these events are. I think with breakfast with Santa Claus, one thing comes to mind is even the gas. I think I included the gas receipt. There was a lot of running back and forth to stores, purchasing toys. So all of those things really do go into making up, a total cost in what the event actually is costing the town. With these two, I kind of pretty much used my own vehicle, and I didn't turn in any receipts for reimbursement. but when we think about the Easter egg hunt as a whole, I mean, we did have the entire public works staff working. So in addition to whatever costs were used for purchases, you would also have to consider the cost of time and a half to have employees working that day as well. So I don't know what the budget was $400, what it ultimately came to be, I have no idea. We did spend more than a third of that or 3/4 of that budget, 75% of that budget, pretty much on the purchases that we made, but had we, we would have been able to stay pretty much in the $400 budget had we, kind of stayed with the initial program. But I understand the reason that we did not, but ultimately what was the cost, and if that is weighs, the motives for making decisions with regards to special events.
Yeah, we can put those procedures in place.
Hold on, I want to speak to this. It was really, it makes, we're talking about this as if this is something new. We've been doing events for years in Cottage City, well before I got here. And the bottom line is, every time we do a budget, there are hours that are put in overtime for events, for the public works staff. And so those are calculated amongst those hours, so it is budgeted. So to go and separate that and to try to add that as a part of the monetary cost that we utilize for items, hard visual items that we purchase, is unfair, it's disingenuous to make that analogy. So,
Well, I'm just saying, in terms of making it transparent.
It is transparent.
What do we actually cost to stage this event?
Well,
Does it cost $400 or does it actually cost $800?
I have the floor. I still have the floor, and I'd like to continue to speak because I've been interrupted. The bottom line is, events has a need for staffing. They have to be staffed. Now, again, most of our events, Cottage City Day, Police National Night Out, most of the events, Breakfast with Santa, Halloween, most of these events are typically staffed. And so when we do our budgets, we do include overtime specifically, not just for snow and leaves, but we do it for that as well. But I understand what you're saying, but we can't take that dollar amount and then double bill it, as an expense. So
I didn't say double bill it, I just would like to know a breakdown of what it costs to stage the event. I'm trying to be transparent in terms of, I did it with several months ago after the Breakfast with Santa Claus event. It's not all of a sudden, this is not the first time I've done this financial breakdown. I don't think people were right. You've seen this before from me.
So
right?
it's duly noted that we can look into how we track the time we want for all the events again, but those hours are budgeted already in the personnel within the budgets of the Department of Public Works, within the Department of Police Department and General Admin.
Yeah, and we use a lot of overtime for snow removal this year also. So I would imagine as a resident, I would like to know, how much money it's costing to stage certain events in town, even with regards to the overtime, especially when you have an entire department working. Or do you create event situations that do not call for a lot of overtime? We didn't have overtime with Breakfast with Santa Claus.
And Commissioner
And
Jones,
not had
I understand your point. The total budget for all the events is $8,500 out of a $1.4 billion budget, which is less than 1% of the budget. So I understand your need to have exactitude with this number, but to the proportion of what these numbers are to our totality of our budget, I think that we can say that it's been duly noted and we can move on. The numbers are not that it's irrelevant, but it's proportionally, again, it's less than 1% of our overall budget to do that. So I think there are
However,
other issues.
had the event for Easter been done as you gave to Commissioner Jones and I, there would have been no overtime.
But that was not,
And
that's not even my motive to bring it up, honestly. get some sort of a breakdown on how much it costs to stage the event. How much, if we have a budget of $400 for an Easter event,
The
did
budget,
it really
again-
cost us $400 or did it cost us $800 is what I'm asking.
Again-
And all I'm wondering is, where is the breakdown in terms of, we
Again,
don't even
that,
have one for
that-
actual purchases here.
again,
There's
the
no
amount of
responsibility for
overtime hours have
transparency.
already been budgeted in other aspects of the budget. I would say please review the budget that was approved, and you will see all the hours that are there, unless we're
But that's not, that
overrunning
is
the
not
line.
what I'm
or-
asking, that's not what I'm
overrunning
talking,
the
that
line.
isn't what I'm talking about.
With
We're arguing over Easter. Can we move on? We're
Yes,
arguing
we
over
can.
an event. It's
Yeah.
childish. Let's
I'm
move
trying to
on.
make a point.
We understand. It's so
That's
noted.
It's irrelevant, it's.
It's so
Duly
noted.
noted, duly noted. I didn't say it was irrelevant, it's not proportional. So we can move on to point 6, which is Ward 3 Commissioner vacancy. So we'll put that on the agenda. Alright. Move on.
Did you put it on the agenda, Brittany? Okay. I did ask Brittany, I am, at this time, the Board 3 representative. Unfortunately, it seems that no one put in a nomination form for my ward, which is very disappointing. But nonetheless, it's the circumstance, and I do feel, as the Ward 3 representative, still somewhat responsible for that ward while I am in office, and I would like to see, that seat filled, and I would like to see it filled according to principle and according to the charter. So I really did want to know, again, I mean, however it's flipped or twisted here tonight, my intentions are really to know what is the process, how will it be followed through, and what is in the best interest of the town in terms of going forward with that. And what are the intentions of the commission to make sure that seat is
Well, we will follow what is stated in the charter. So we will get first through the election to fill the remaining seats. And then when the vacancy occurs, which is at the time of election, then we will follow the instructions for the charter.
I'm sorry, I understand from our attorney that there was an opinion actually given on this and emailed to you, which I didn't receive, so I'd like to know what the attorney's opinion is and what the question asked was actually from the
Well-
chair to the attorney regarding how the position, I mean, everybody can get their pennies in a bunch, but obviously this is not, my only motive is, again, transparency and having an
Yeah.
understanding. I didn't put in a nomination.
We understand that
The process is
That's
important to
clear,
me.
your
as-
motives
yeah.
are clear. What I'm telling you is that I did ask that without any nominations, what the options were moving forward. The attorney did provide, I said, what are our options? Do we fill it? Do we have a special election? Or do we just leave it vacant?
Talk to them.
So those were the answer to those questions. He said that according to our charter, we have to, we can put a temporary person, nominate a temporary person, but only insofar as it gets us to a special election to then fill that position. If no one at that time submits a nomination form, then the commission can then appoint a person for the remainder of the period.
Yeah.
If I can make a point of clarification, Commissioner Hayes has asked me to take a look, particularly in section 14 of the town charter, the significance of, and re-examine my opinion, and look towards the term unexpired term. I'm going to need to find some legal authority. Commissioner Hayes is of the opinion that the interpretation of section 14 means that if there's 14 months or more left in an unexpired term, then you can appoint and then go to a special election. But because she's saying that because it's not an unexpired term, due to the fact that there's no candidate filed and qualified, and since you don't have write-in elections, no one can be elected at the next election. She's saying that it's not an unexpired term, so she's asked me to take a look at the interpretation. I will do that. My gut tells me my opinion is not going to change, because the way I read section 14 is that when a vacancy occurs, that, you know, the command is quite certain in the charter that you fill the vacancy immediately, and then the command is also clear that you hold a special election, particularly if there's 14 or more months left on the term, and then the person that was appointed temporarily to fill the seat can file a certificate of nomination and fill the seat for the permanency of the term, but you're required to, you know, if you follow the charter and fill the position temporarily, and you followed up with a special election, and if you do a good job of making an appointee, and that appointee basically thwarts anyone else trying to compete against that appointee, then if no one else files a certificate of nomination, I think by implication, the charter would mean that you could cancel the election, the special election, if there's no one filed a certificate of nomination. But again, I've given a pretty detailed interpretation to the chairman. It came very late today, and I'm sure he hadn't had time to get it distributed, but I'll take a look based on Commissioner Hayes's.
Yeah.
I'll take a look, but I'd also like to ask Commissioner Jones, when did you decide to announce your desire not to run again? Was that something very recently?
Well, I didn't make an announcement. I simply did not turn in a nomination form. Okay. So,
Well, my point is with that is your ward is going to be a bit underserved. Had you not perhaps brought it to everyone's attention a little bit earlier, you could have facilitated not having an underserved ward.
and why do you think that? And
Pardon?
why do you assume that?
The reason I assume that is if let's say 2 months ago you decided you weren't going to run
Right.
again,
Mm-hmm.
and you had made the announcement there, at that time, it would have made it clear to the people in your ward that the incumbent is not rerunning again, and so maybe some other people would have stepped forward
Right.
and
Well,
filed a certificate.
I'm not sure that that's the case. We have an incumbent who has sat in a seat for the last 2 years that no one has run on a poll. So I'm not sure that anyone would have stepped forward. It was within my right to not
Well, I'm not
turn in
saying-
a nomination form, but yeah, to make a decision when the decision was made, which was, you know, late in the week, last week. So that is definitely something that is perhaps your opinion, but can't, you know, is not anything that it can be substantiated that somebody would have done
All
that.
I'm saying
And
is,
everyone is aware in town that, you know, if they want to participate in the process, that they have the right to, incumbent running or not, to put in a nomination form. And I also got calls from people all around town, you know, from the residents saying that they've been courted by several commissioners to run, and so I'm assuming that maybe perhaps the commission was taking care of it. But nonetheless,
all I'm saying, if I may, is that if you decide you're not going to run for re-election, it behooves you to make sure your ward doesn't remain unserved for any period of time by announcing that, so someone else can come in and fill
depending on when you
your
make the
shoes.
decision.
If you have the time, based on the circumstances.
Okay.
I'm not criticizing you one bit.
Okay, good. Because what I do want to really get some clarification on, and I'm looking here at the charter, it says, in the event that the unexpired term is longer than 14 months, counting from the date the vacancy exists. So I'm not sure what the date of the election is, but in the event that the unexpired term is longer than 14 months, is very clear here. The commission shall call a special election as soon as practical to fill the vacancy.
Oh, it's clear there will need to be a special election. There's no doubt in my mind that a special election will need to go forward unless no one files a certificate of nomination. If there's no qualified candidates who file certificates of nomination, then this provision calls for the commission to fill the vacancy.
Well, if the commission was interested in following the charter with regards to a special election, then they would put a notice out right now, and give it the time to actually submit a nomination in 30 days, so
Well,
that an
well,
election
well,
could be
well,
hired,
well,
had special election
so,
could be
like
had
I said,
immediately.
we will follow the provisions of the charter. The charter does not stipulate, the vacancy has not occurred yet, and it's, as soon as possible. So that is where we're gonna have to take stock of where we are, what we need to do, and then, we will then move to put in the process in place for a special election.
Yeah, I believe your charter would not permit you to accept a new nominee at this late juncture. I believe the charter says you have to get your certificates of nomination 30 days prior to the election day. It's too late. And for you to try to accept the charter, a certificate of nomination at this late juncture, you violate your charter.
Well, no, but the special election could follow very closely to the main election, which I don't, if the nomination, the ability for someone to tender a
Correct.
nomination for
Correct.
is made immediately.
And this commission will decide the time and place for that election, and we will notify the town in an
This
appropriate
commission will?
manner. The new commission,
The new commission.
the new commission will, and it will notify the residents.
All I
and
know
the
is,
process.
in reading the charter, it says that if the unexpired term is longer than 14 months, counting from the date the vacancy exists, the commission shall call a special election as
We will
soon
do
as
that.
practical.
We will
to
do
fill the
that again,
vacancy.
as soon as it is practical, we will call an election when the new commission comes.
And I would appreciate Attorney Best
Yes.
to give it a second look into the term unexpired. And I will ask other town attorneys as well what their recommendations would be.
I'd ask that you not do that. As a commissioner, you don't have the authority to seek legal commission on your own as an individual to other people. I'm the corporate counsel. The corporate counsel hired me, and I give the legal opinions. If you have a sidebar discussion with another lawyer, fine, but you certainly can't retain another lawyer. If they want to entertain your question, I suppose they could, but, I would respectfully request that you don't seek other legal opinions from other counsel.
And I would respectfully request that you do not make assumptions with regards to my decisions to not run for election, which you did.
So Commissioner
So
Jones,
let's move on.
so Commissioner Jones will follow the charter as stated, and the new commission will notify the people of what the process is for any special election that needs to be done according to our charter. So without that, we can move on to the other point, which is the Comcast, Verizon transmitters.
Yeah, the,
Excuse me, I apologize for interrupting, but I would just like to, for the chair to recognize, we do have, and I do recognize at this time, Prince George's County Inspector White. Is it White?
Inspector Tate.
Tate,
And Inspector Chin.
And see if they had a need to speak so that they can move on to, and then the delegate, Fennell's representative, so that we can get them to allow them to attend other businesses, county business investigators.
Yeah, at this time, is there any announcements that you need to make to the commission?
Basically, I just wanted
Could you
to...
step to the...
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Basically, I just wanted to stop in and see if the residents has any concerns, issues. The issue on Parkwood Road, we have addressed. It appears that we will be going into a legal issue with getting the property clean. I did have a chance to look at the front and the exterior, and it appears that it's almost like a junkyard in the back. So we are moving forward with that. I did have the pleasure of speaking with a WSSC agent regarding your issues, your water issues from the last meeting. And I was told that if you would like to have a WSSC representative to come out and speak with you, I could arrange that.
Yeah, I have a question, and I'm assuming that you're speaking about a property on Parkwood on the other side of 38th, and I was wondering, here's my concern. I don't care if it's anybody else's concern here. This is my concern. the resident in which I believe you're speaking of is an elderly gentleman who doesn't really have the financial means, and I would hope that if the county has some type of assisted program to be able to assist him. I mean, he's up in age, and if not, then I would ask that you offer some type of ability, some leniency to be able to allow us to be able to, or someone within the town, to be able to try to help facilitate his issue. I mean, if it was someone like myself or someone younger, it wouldn't, then I wouldn't stipulate to it. But I mean, what I'm afraid of is the county comes in here and they start loading him up with fines, and he ends up in court. He loses his house, and the county's not going to take your responsibility. They're going to blame us. And I'd like to finish. And he lives in our town. He's been a long life resident of our community. And while I do understand there's an issue, and we are aware of the issue, and perhaps we've been a little bit negligent in helping him earlier on, I would ask that some type of leniency be granted, and so that those other citizens within the community that are concerned about his welfare. He's sickly. His wife died a few years ago, and we understand that he has issues. And so that would be my that would be my statement.
Good. Commissioner Givens, I would like to maybe offer sort of a solution here. Could you coordinate with our new town manager, Mr. Mosley, to coordinate any of that?
Right here. Yeah.
First of all, he's also.
You know the process. We've made the homeowner aware of the issues regarding the exterior property. No fines has been assessed on the homeowner as of this point. And so I can coordinate with you if you guys want to take it under control. The county can step back. I just have to make a notation and get it approved from the supervisor. But the property was brought to me as a complaint, and that is why we went forward with investigating. And the exterior was.
And I don't want you to think that I'm here to criticize the work that you do. The work that you do is very important. However, I am concerned about those people within our community that don't have the physical ability or the financial means. And I think that from what makes us municipalities special is our ability to actually affect someone's life and to be able to help them when we can. And so if this is an event in which, and Mr. Pinkney here was our code enforcement for a few years, a couple of years I would say, and he faced those issues and he took them on a case-by-case basis, and he worked with those individuals. And that's what I'm asking, is that I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done. I'm not saying that at all. And if it means that I gotta go out and roll up my sleeves, I'm willing to do that to help him. Not because I'm benefiting for a vote or anything like that, but he is someone who has served our community.
Commissioner Givens, again, so can you just coordinate with our new town manager, and then he can coordinate any other in order to resolve the issue.
Okay. I have something I would like to add, state, is that I don't know, those two houses on Parkwood, okay, next to each other. I don't know if you've done anything to the one house. However, the one that I am pretty sure our elderly gentleman, he had the power to put up a fence to hide it.
Oh, I saw that.
He put up a fence. So you can't say, and this has been going on for 35 years, and it's only gotten worse. And if you were going to do something, why didn't you already do it?
Again, I apologize for being lax on that, and at this point, if it means that you need for us to take a vote on the matter, to be able to transfer that information to your name, I'm willing to take a vote, and I believe that my vote will be in support of working with the individual.
Well, I'm here to assist your
Okay,
community.
thank you, I
so
appreciate that. Because
whatever
code
way-
enforcement, I'm concerned, code enforcement is not about making money. Code enforcement is about compliance.
Correct.
It's about getting people, and I understand legitimate, situation, and I would like at this point moving forward to help them with that.
Well, again, so if you can just coordinate with the town manager, I think that will facilitate the
Yeah, I just wanted to put on the record that he has started cleaning it up with the help of some neighbors, and should be taken into account that he is making with the help of friends and others.
Thank you, Ann. Is there anything else?
No, there are no more issues. Does anyone else has any questions?
No.
No. Okay.
Yes, it was brought to my attention, on 40th, almost at the end of Bladensburg Road, the outhouse, the unfinished outhouse, sitting in the front yard.
It's not an outhouse. That's offensive for you to say something like that out of your mouth about a religious symbol was being erected. That is highly offensive, Commissioner Hayes.
Well,
And you ought to apologize to the body here.
It looks like an outhouse sitting in the front yard.
Well, you shouldn't
And I
say
could
that.
have
That is offensive. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not.
You should be.
Can we just move on?
It is a religious
It's not,
thing.
no, it's not, it's not finished.
Office there.
However, that's what he was erecting, a religious symbol.
Okay, so what I'll do, I'll coordinate with your town manager.
Yes, please do. And if you need for us to sit up here and take a vote in regards to these matters, to be able to take to your supervisor, I believe that we're willing to do that in support of our residents within our community. Thank you, Commissioner Hayes, which I don't believe you have the support to do what you're.
Well, I have to meet tonight as senior inspector, and should we go?
I think
This is the first time
we're done. I don't think that, unless you have any other questions.
I have
Is this
one
about the
question.
altar?
The one she calls an outhouse, the altar.
Well,
Get yours and mine.
regardless of those opinions, is the question about whether there is in code to have the altar built in the front yard.
That's a different, my issue is, that's a different, and had it been placed that way, Commissioner Jones, then I wouldn't be so offended. But the mere fact that Commissioner Hayes stipulated that that was an outhouse is offensive. It's offensive. It's offensive to that man's religion, and everyone here should be offended.
Well, I don't want to get into that for obvious reasons, but I don't know that everyone even knows what the structure is there for. To be honest with you, everyone does not know there's a religious symbol, or can't make an assumption there's a religious symbol. The point is the structure itself.
Does it look like an outhouse to you?
I didn't know what it was when I first saw it.
Did you really think it was an outhouse?
So if we can
I
move
didn't
on,
think it was
so.
an outhouse.
She made the statement to be offensive.
It's on the record.
I know, I'm talking about you.
I did.
I'm talking about
It's
you.
on the record, it's on the record, we'll move on for this because,
What was the,
again, they will
resolution?
coordinate with our town manager and he will deal with it. If there's any code violation, then he will bring it back to us at the town meeting, so we'll move on.
Fennell.
Yeah, could you
Representative.
Hello, Commissioners, how are you doing today? Hope everything's going well for you. That's nice for all of us, in the email. Well, one of the reasons why I was out here today, because we received an email about your new town manager, wanting to congratulate you, delegate, specifically to the email to congratulate the Commissioners for choosing a new town manager, and Mr. Stanley Mosley. Also, I just want to let you know that session will be ending on the 11th, that is this Monday. So the legislative session will convene for the last session on this Monday in Annapolis, and we'll end at 12 o'clock Sinai. So that means our district office will be opening up next week at 3709 Rhode Island Avenue, right next door to the Carpenter City Hall. And if you don't know, I'm the district office coordinator for now in Central Virginia. And also, I left scholarship applications last time I was here, I'm sorry. Our deadline for scholarships are April 29th. That being said, I will see you at your next meeting. Okay?
Yes. Thank you. Greg, you wanna?
I did have a question for Ms. Tate, but I'll wait till she come in. The Comcast and Verizon transmitters, the camera system that we came up with the short-term broadcasting, we don't really have a problem with our end of the broadcasting part.
Excuse me. Can you mind taking it outside? Thanks.
With our camera and our computer, we're fine with that. The converter, we're sending the converter back. This is our third converter. We're sending that one back to get the one that we previously just sent back. We're going to get that one. The problem that we're having right now is the DA, the distributor amplifier, is not digital. It don't send out digital signal. And then the Verizon box and the Comcast box don't accept digital signal. So right now we're in a position where Comcast and Verizon have to come out and upgrade their boxes. Mr. Mosley, now that he's sworn in, he can sign the letter, but they had requested a letter from us stating that we, as a municipality, has upgraded our software to digital software, and we need them to upgrade their box. So Comcast is just waiting on a letter for us to move forward with replacing that. As far as Verizon, theirs is easy. They can just change the fiber cards inside of it that allow that one to accept digital transmission. However, because the machine makes so much noise, the tech did tell me to look into our franchise agreement to find out what services they offer. Because if they do offer the same service that Comcast is offering, as far as where we got actual Comcast cable in here, but we don't get a cable bill because it's part of our franchise agreement. If they offer the same thing, then they will change out the Verizon box to a Fios box, which will accept digital signal and will be quieter and it won't be as loud in Mr. Mosley's office. So right now, that's where we are as far as getting the broadcast live on the television.
So it's my understanding it hasn't been broadcast live.
No.
It hasn't been airing.
Not yet.
Now, if I wanted to add footage to it that was static, can that be done?
What you mean, add footage to it?
Like, we videotaped the event with Professor Gates, could that be added to that stream? Okay.
Yeah. What we're getting ready to do now, me and Brittany going to work on trying to upload the videos that we have now, the previous town hall meeting, this work session. We're going to try to start uploading those onto our website where people can go on our website and they can click it and listen in and see what happened at the meetings. We also looked into, because that camera is Wi-Fi compatible, we could Ustream and possibly live stream through free live streaming, just to see how well it works. There is a live stream box that we can purchase that costs about $600 for us to be able to live stream on a regular. But right now we want to see, what our options is and how well it really works before we actually go spend money on the actual live stream box. So right now it's just about getting the cable channel up and running, and then we can move forward in that. But right now we are looking into what we have available as far as free trials to be able to see how well it actually works with that camcorder.
When do you think it will be broadcast? Start being broadcast?
Comcast has said once they receive the letter, it takes about 120 days for them to be able to come out, do what they need to do to upgrade it and put theirs in. Verizon is going to wait for Comcast because Verizon set up the DA back there that sends the signal to both of them. So once Comcast sets theirs in, Verizon will come out and they'll hook it all up so that it'll be transmitted to both places. So Verizon, they can come out tomorrow for real, but they're waiting so that they both can be done properly. They're waiting for Comcast to upgrade theirs. So we're on the right track. Even if we did the long term or the short term, regardless, we have to upgrade those two boxes because they don't send out digital signals. They only accept composite signals.
All right, are there any questions? If not,
Will it be ready for the candidates forum?
For the candidates forum, we talked to the, I can't remember her name.
Gloria Johnson?
Yes, we talked to her and we don't have to broadcast live that day, but she would like for it to be on some kind of means where people can see it before the election. So that's why we're going to work on being able to upload the videos onto the website and stuff like that. She said that would be fine as long as it's done before the the actual election so that people can actually see the form. So that's why we're working on that now to try to get that issue resolved so we can, she told us that as long as we can do that and people can see it, then we're okay.
I have a recommendation, much like Comar Manor has begun to place their meetings on YouTube. You can create a YouTube channel of your own. You can do it on YouTube, and that would be another medium in which you can exercise.
That's something else that we're looking into as well. And that would allow you, we can also put it on Facebook, especially through the YouTube. If we come up with the YouTube channel, it can be on Facebook. So those that have Facebook access, we can put the link on Facebook and they'll actually be able to see the video on Facebook as well. But that won't be live. It'll be just after we recorded it, and then we upload it on there, and then they can be able to see it. So they won't be able to see it tonight, but maybe the next day or before the week is out, they'll be able to see it. So we do have a few options to get it out now until we can actually get the live feed up once the cable companies handle their side.
All right. Are there any questions? If not, we can move on.
I did have one question for Ms. Taylor, if I could.
Oh, sorry.
As the code enforcement. The question that I had actually two questions. One, how do you guys handle as far as drainage from the gutters that go from the property out into the street or across the sidewalks? Because we have a property on Bladesburg Road, the corner of Bladesburg at 37th Avenue, which is like an apartment building, that their gutters go in underground, and because it sits on a hill, it's a PVC pipe that comes out of the hill and it goes out onto the sidewalks. And during the wintertime, we get a lot of freeze up right there on the sidewalk as well as the intersection.
If you could submit me a specific address, I will forward that to our drainage and sewer department.
Okay.
And they'll come out and investigate that issue.
Okay. And then the other one was as far as drainage, sump pumps and things like that coming from out your house. We have residents who who had drainage coming through the sidewalk, through the concrete out into the street. And I've heard, I haven't seen it, but I've heard so many different things about untreated water going into the sidewalks, going into the drainage system.
Again, that department will be able to investigate and handle that issue as well.
Okay.
In terms of that Parkwood address, I was just reviewing the county's responsibility in terms of your Carthage City municipality. It appears that this area is totally enforced by the county code. So given that, because the process has already begun, if you want to pull back the county's involvement, you would need to send a letter to the director of the Department of Permitting Inspections and Enforcement.
What's his name?
Her name is Ruby Sherrod.
Spell that?
R-U-B-Y, Sherrod, S-H-E-R-R-O-D.
Okay.
She is the Associate Director. And I think in the past I gave you an overview of the county's responsibility in terms of your community. So I would be unable to pull that back. But you can send it to her attention. The address is 9400 Peppercorn Place, Suite 600. And that's Largo, Maryland, 20774. And let me see if I have a direct number for.
Oh, that won't be the letter's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can coordinate or get that information, you can give it to our town manager.
Certainly. I'm certain that he's had an opportunity to review the municipal chart and its states. I've highlighted policy.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, and so you just go across.
Let me just, a letter should not go out to the associate director from any one person. That's
Well,
something
that's what I just told
that
you.
needs to be a motion
No,
entertained.
that's what I just advised.
Furthermore, I think that it's going to be inappropriate to send such a letter unless you're willing to pass an ordinance and supersede
Well, the letter,
county enforcement.
just what I would implore is the letter would be to ask for more time so that others can assist this gentleman, not to negate the fact of the violation per se, but asking them and, having a vote from the commission, and whatever that vote turns out to be, to ask for compassion and giving and asking for more time, because like she said, they're on a schedule. So if you're not on a schedule, because you just said the county has a schedule.
We have a process,
Okay.
and as of this time, the owner has not reached out to speak to me in reference to requesting an extension of time.
Okay.
So
Given that,
again, to mitigate it, because I want to move on from this point, I will ask our town manager to follow up with the resident
okay,
and figure out that he needs to do to reach out to you, and then maybe coordinate any additional help that he needs to mitigate the situation.
okay.
And so that way we can move on. Is there any other questions?
I have a question. I understand that this individual is having a hard time, but are we opening up a Pandora's box by making special dispensation and not offering it to other residents who may be handicapped physically or mentally challenged or any other?
Well, that would be that would be mine.
Maybe that's what we should be looking
And
at.
that's what I'm speaking. I'm not speaking of a person who's physically incapable. I'm speaking of those exigent circumstances in which of those persons within our community. We have a high amount of elderly who don't have the ability, and we did talk about having some type of assisting program within the town previously, and that never came to bear.
So again, could you just follow up and then bring us somewhat of a proposal with all, any issues that may set precedent from your perspective down to us? Because I think at this point we can argue it all day and have our opinions, but we're not moving the issue forward. Just contact Ms. Tate, coordinate to see, just to notify the resident that this is an important issue, that he needs to deal with it, and that there are people that are willing to help within the community. If that's the case, then you can be the conduit to that.
I would like to add, Mr. Chairman, in terms of Mr. Pinckney's question about water being expelled in the public way, either on the sidewalk or the road. My question is, point of information, are these municipal streets and municipal sidewalks, are they the state right of way or are they county right of way?
Both. Some of them are municipal streets, and some of them are, they're municipal.
Typically, the way municipalities handle placement of any foreign substance in the public way or on a sidewalk, particularly water that could freeze and cause a hazard, create a nuisance, a public nuisance, they typically make it an offense under the ordinance. I think the county is going to be very reluctant to get involved with a public way or sidewalk that's under the jurisdiction of the town and enforce any. They do have laws that are applicable in the town that forbid owner occupants from expelling stormwater illegally. But that's a nuisance most municipalities regulate themselves, particularly if the public property where the nuisance is being created is under the jurisdiction of the town. So if there's no ordinance to address that, that might be the remedy, is to write an ordinance to approve it and begin issuing municipal infractions against people who create these public nuisances.
Right, and we don't have anything in our ordinance that spells it out clear enough. So that's the reason why I asked the question, more so just to get information of what the county does and what is the there's something in there about untreated water, water that's coming from the sump pumps and stuff like that, and I don't know what that language is because I haven't seen it. So it was more so of just trying to get some information on what the county regulations is, because we don't have that regulation, and if we need to get it incorporated in our town, I guess it just behooves us to actually mimic what the county is doing, or take what they're doing as a base and alter it so that it'll fit our town, but at least have some kind of compliance of where the county is, as far as adding that to our ordinance.
So, yeah, so Greg, so then can I make a suggestion for you to ascertain that information and then make a recommendation to this body if an ordinance will be needed or not, and then we can move forward from there.
And for what it's worth, I'll send you, I have plenty of sample ordinances that have that language, and I'll send that to you. Okay.
Greg, since we're on the subject, the gaping holes in the street on 43rd, have you seen those?
Yes. I'm reaching out to Mr. Hope to find out if they're going to actually come in and fill those holes. Some of it started from the snow, but of course with the work that they were doing on the corner of 43rd probably helped the situation. So I don't know if because the patches was already there, because we patched the holes with the cold patch, and then they came in with their trucks and started to operate right there. So I'm just trying to see if they had plans on coming in here and actually putting some asphalt down there so that I can know where we need to go move forward there.
Yeah, I think that's an emergency situation over there. I really do. I think it is something that needs to be taken care of. ASAP.
Most of the cuts lately have been to replace what has been torn up from the services that they were providing. So they've been in town, even on 40th Avenue, been in town replacing some of the stuff that they tore up. So before they finish totally, I want to see if we can get that, either squeeze that in, if it wasn't something that they're going to do, or figure out if it's something that we need to do. I have the contacts who can come in and do it, but if they're going to do it, I want them to do it. So.
Yeah, I would like to see it filled as soon as possible, whatever that means, whatever that translates into. And then the other thing is, when I'm thinking of that street, is at one point in time, did the town ever make an agreement with the church that on Sunday they could put out cones to prevent people from parking in that area?
No.
So, why are we allowing this? Because it really is an obstruction to traffic. With people coming in and out of that street. And I do think that if the church does not have the legal right to do that, then people should be able to park there also.
Is this a church on 42nd or
41st? Is that 40? I thought that was I think it's 42nd.
41st is on the corner, 42nd is closer to the micromedia building.
Closer to the micromedia building, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's where the gaping holes are.
No, there's no gate.
No.
That was on 47.
The hole's on
When you turn over
43rd.
Mr. Brown's,
That's 43rd.
okay, that's
The-
43rd, okay.
The church is on the next, there's a church on the
47th,
next
okay,
block,
sorry.
and then there's a church on the 2 blocks over.
So 42nd is the street I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, I can't answer that.
Of course, there's no officers working on Sunday, so I'll come in this Sunday, I'll see what's going on, and then I'll let him know.
Okay, and then one last question to you, with regards to 38th Street. Cars, I've noticed that the car was parked, someone who was a patron of the barber shop was parked on 38th Street, right there on that side of the, on the right side of the street.
There's no sign that says you cannot park.
So there's no sign that says that. So what has that happened in the past? Because that's another obstruction to traffic, especially at rush hour, if someone parks there.
They're always parked on 38.
And that's a state highway.
Right, there's
So
nothing we
you
can do
know.
about it.
And as far as, I think that the town needs to be a little bit more considerate when on Sunday services, when we do have churches, just much like the District of Columbia, where they do make considerations for those persons attending church. That's why you see them parked alongside the median, which I thought was an obstruction. But however, you know, we should acknowledge and be a little bit more, because it is not obstructing the actual continuous flow of traffic.
It is, and it is.
Well, I'd like to finish. It's not constructing, my opinion, and I have a law enforcement background to support my opinion, that it does not obstruct the flow of traffic moving along that street on Sundays. So,
I guess my other concern with that is, though, Commissioner, because they do have a parking lot, and there are residents who live on the
so
street.
perhaps we should.
So why would residents not be allowed to
I
park
think
there?
you're right. Perhaps we should vote on it as a commission and make a determination, and so that we can give Sergeant Mittenberger some proper instructions as to the wishes of the commission, and not just my wishes.
Well, I think that, again, a medium, something that we can do in between that is bring them along, have a conversation with the minister, ask them what they actually need, and see if we need to develop some procedures or ordinance that would then leave it for everyone, independent of, you know, what religious celebration.
Have you seen it? Have you seen what she's talking about, the complaint she's talking about?
Yeah, I know, but nonetheless, it's about bringing them in and having a conversation, because it's not about taking it off or leaving it on. It's about working with them and our residents to make sure that we can both get what they need and what the residents get.
Exactly, and again, my opinion is that when Mr. Sy, what's his name, was dying in the hospice care, that we made the consideration that allowed their family members to place cones out in front of their house so that they would have an opportunity to park for the hospice care worker. And I think that when those, I think I have the floor. I'd like for you to be respectful of that, if you wouldn't mind, please.
I'd like for you to be respectful too. You're being a little bit antsy, and it's not called for. Why don't you just chill out?
Could you ask me?
Just chill.
Well, I'm making a statement, and I'd like to finish that.
Finish, please.
And, yeah, thank you. And Mr. Sy, and we were understanding of that situation, and we even expressed that to the police department, because it is about the residents of our community. And as the complaint that's being generated here about the church, I haven't, I've been here for 7 years, or 8 years on the commission. I've never heard anybody, not one time, a citizen come up here and complain about the cones that are in parking areas. There's nobody even lives down there. There's no houses down there on that area that don't have the ability to park their vehicles. And so if someone like who lived down there came to complain, then you would have a valid listening. But that's not the case. So thank you.
So, again, are there any other issues that from police? Thank you.
If we could, I've talked to you about having part of the advisory group report go at 8.
Oh, yeah, so we're getting actually to that point. If you could just hold on, because we're going to finish that out. So if there isn't anything else from the department, which wasn't your report, but nonetheless you went over and that, then I'll yield the floor to the last point of the agenda, which is the advisory group.
I'll give a short thing a little bit later, but right now.
You are actually, it's at the advisory board. That's the point of the agenda that we're at right now.
Oh, okay, great. Then Natasha will go first, Natasha Davis.
Good evening. So a month or two ago, the advisory group met with some of the principal and some of the teachers from Robert Heights Elementary and Blazenburg High. And so me and Ann took the initiative. We're leading this, we're leading these two plans that we came up with to try to help the needs of our kids in our town. And it's two parts. So the elementary, the school needs, we thought about doing a tutoring 2 days a week from 3 to 4. Mondays and Tuesdays, or Tuesday and Wednesday, beginning the 2016-2017 school year. We asked the church, the overpowering Bible Way Church, the one that's on 42nd, could we use their building? They have a resource building. They have agreed that we could use their building. Some of the things that we're planning to offer is math, English, science, and reading. And we're going to open it up to other members in the community that have the time to volunteer. For the high school, we want to do a skills section, and it's gonna be 2 days in the summer, from 9 to 3. That involves resume writing, financial aid assistance, how to fill out the application for financial aid, SAT information, interview skills, and college information, trade school information, all those good things. We want to have a information session before school is out, on a Friday night, have a pizza party, invite high school kids to come out, and so we can give them an information session of what we can look forward to those 2 Saturdays. We do understand some legal issues, and we would like, for the Cottage City Attorney, if that's okay, to find out what is the legal ramifications for our plan. And we also want to help our seniors. I guess all the college kids have to do community hours. So we want to get with some of the Lazenburg High School service staff member that helps to see can some of our students come in and help, like when we have dumpster day, that some of the students can come and help the senior citizens remove things and stuff on dumpster day. So that's what we do. Yes, to get community hours.
We do give hours for that.
Okay.
And also getting the clearances and.
Oh, yes, so one of the things that we know, and we need to find more information out, you have to do a background check when you're dealing with kids and working with kids, especially probably gonna be with the elementary school kids. So we're still trying to find out information on that, what are the requirements and which kind of background information, because it's 2 types of backgrounds they have. And we gotta figure out which one that people gonna need that's gonna volunteer for the kids. So we still got stuff that we need to get, but that's one of the things we know people gonna have to have.
I had a question. Is the advisory group and a committee that would be considered an instrumentality of the town, does it have any formal ties? Is it appointed by the town?
No,
Would-
it's a citizens group.
Okay, is it an unincorporated association?
We're completely informal, unincorporated,
Okay.
totally informal.
Thank you.
And just for the record, it was approved by the commission during the inception.
During the-
Ms. Hand, can you speak?
Right, I think it was 2013, there was a meeting of the commission at which John Copeland, there was a lot of upheaval because of the previous resolution extending terms of commissioners and so forth. And at one of the meetings after that, John Copeland had suggested that other towns have advisory groups. And I remember it was Pat Gross who suggested that Joan and I start that group and that we would then report back to the commission. And so in accordance with that, we did that, and we've been meeting, I guess, around 3 years since then, maybe 2.5.
And furthermore, they have been tasked from the commission, not as mandatory, but they have been asked by the commission body to take up certain issues, to look further into it on their behalf, so.
And also,
To
we did
recommend- make a
want to use
recommendation.
the town hall for the high school student events. The church is checking in, letting us use that for the elementary school.
Right.
For the high school events, we wanted to use this room.
Any questions?
Can you coordinate with Mr. Mosley and ask those questions if there are any issues that he'll bring it back to the commission?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just for the rest of it, something just struck me. The high school, the pizza party that Natasha mentioned, I think school is out June 23rd, so that we would be wanting to use this room a week or two, a couple of weeks before the end of
Yeah,
school.
and I mean on
For
Friday.
that. And if the commission saw its way to help out with any financial help for any of this, we don't anticipate much of anything that we do costing much money other than the food for the pizza party and maybe assistance with the As I understand it, if there's any chance that you would be one-on-one with a student, you have to get a background check and some kind of clearance that costs between $50 and $60 some. If you're not going to be one-on-one, but you're working with students in the way that we plan to, where no one would be alone with any student. And this is following up on the incident that happened at the other school, and I can't remember the name of it, where there was a volunteer who had some inappropriate contact with a student. But if you're not going to be one-on-one, I think that there's a like $7 fingerprinting or something, and we're also going to be talking with whoever we can to find out, how other things like this have been done. Was there anything? I think those are the. Okay, so in addition to that project, which is sort of our major project going forward, and Natasha and Ann Rivera are going to be in charge of that, there were two issues that some of us have brought to your attention, mainly through Chairman Nunez. One involved problems with water, where people's water was being cut off. They were getting dirty water, cloudy water, with no notice whatsoever, no advice on what to do if you had, it looked like you had dirty water. And I did talk, Chair Nunez suggested I talk with our new town manager, and I did talk with Mr. Mosley, and we had a discussion about, how this should go forward. And with respect to both this and the issue on Cottage Terrace, we had a discussion about should this come more from the advisory group or more from the town. We discussed this at our meeting last night, and the general sense of the group was that it carries more weight if elected officials approach these entities, whether it be WSSC or the State Highway Department, that going through and having actual meetings with Ms. Copeland, as you know, used to work for Victor Ramirez, and her advice was, rather than just send letters, it's really good to meet with them in person, take people there who've had the problem, and that they're likely to be helpful in those circumstances. Kim Knox met with us, and she told us about a situation where the mayor of Edmonston had contacted apparently there's a new director of WSSC who's a woman, and she contacted her, and I think she did it by letter initially at least, and congratulated her on being the first woman director of WSSC and on her new appointment, and then followed that up by saying, we have had some problems in Edmonston, and within 2 weeks it was fixed. That involved hydrants, but if we could, the main thing we need is for them to give notice to people. One person of all the people that we know of got a notice when her water was going to get cut off. But nobody who's gotten the dirty water, the cloudy water, or nobody else who's had their water cut off has gotten any notice, something which I'm sure would never happen in Montgomery County or the nicer areas of D.C. And so there's notice, there's advice on what to do. In the past we've seen advisories from Bladensburg where they advised to boil your water, and then after that was over, to turn on your cold water, starting at the bottom and going on up. In any event, it's a big problem, and so what we wanted to say to you is we hope that you will take the lead as elected officials, because people will be more likely to listen to you, that whatever we can do to help in that, drafting letters, coming with you to meet with elected officials and directors, whatever we can do to help, we're very willing to do that. And that also goes for the second issue, which is the intersection at 38, also Highway 208 in Cottage Terrace. In the past, the issue of both cars and pedestrians approaching 38 from either side of Cottage Terrace, and cars have to pull out past the line, almost into the line of traffic. I had to pull out just the other day, and a car came within just inches of me. So it's dangerous for pedestrians, for cars. And then when Mr. Mosley and I went out to look at the intersection with respect to both that and the sidewalk issue, connecting the sidewalk, he pointed out that with respect to the handicap aspects of the sidewalks, where they put in the things with the bumps on them, so that a blind person would know when they were on them, that they're really terrible with respect to helping a handicapped person, especially a blind person. They're dangerous for them, and that's a third issue which we have not raised before. So again, you know, we will do anything we can to help you. We want to emphasize how important we think these two issues are. But we hope you'll sort of take the lead in terms of speaking as elected officials and getting more attention from the respective entities. Also, on the second issue, on the intersection, Sean Wilson, who was here earlier, he was the one who asked us to send a letter to Diana Fennell, and I have a specific email address that you can use for that. And then finally, for the candidates forum, if you want us to try to find any people to serve as translators for any non-English speakers, we'll be glad to try to do that. Otherwise, we'll assume that everything else is being taken care of by the town.
LAD is being organized by the league. We are opening up the space, and unless they make a specific request to us, then we won't necessarily act on it.
Okay.
So if that's a need, you may want to contact them and offer that yourself to them.
Okay, I'm sure, but I will. But the room will be set up though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions about any of these things for either one of us?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was the last point of the agenda. Yeah. Is there anything, Mr. Mosley, that you need to share with the commission at this time?
Actually, I've given you a slight report in your bag. As you noticed, all of the initiatives that we originally talked about, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that they were touched on in some instances and brought to fruition in others. And we could go through that during the course of the week because none of those are pressing issues. They were just some of the issues that you brought to my attention in the beginning when I came on board.
What I would like to sort of request that maybe at the town hall meetings, an agenda point be a report from you, from the town manager to the commission on, we can call it the state of the town for that month, and you can highlight any of these reports that you provide via email to us.
And that's what I'll do with this report at the next meeting. Yes.
I appreciate that. If there are any other questions, entertain a motion to end the meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So